prayer? Say a prayer.
Whatever we hope to find can only come to us through an open heart and mind. Believing is the seed, that feeling from deep within, that what we seek is done before we ever begin. So close your eyes and open up your heart and your mind, for in the stillness there's peace and there is grace for us to find. We don't need to wait. We don't need to wait till we hopeless and in despair to step out in faith, and speak a word and say a prayer. Can we feel the love within us? Have we found the light that shines? Do we know we're all connected, all one in the great divine? We are more than our reflections, no real limits, we are free, and our words and prayers have power, so choose them carefully and close your eyes and open up your heart and your mind, for in the stillness there's peace and there is grace for us to find. We don't need to wait. We don't need to wait till we feel hopeless and in despair to step out in faith. Step out in faith and speak a word and say a prayer. Say a prayer. Say a prayer. Say a prayer.
Thank you so much. Always appreciate the music team's professionalism as I grab the thing and squeal it. Well, today I'm going to be talking about faith as foresight and the power of prayer. So, what is faith? Anybody know what faith is? That's right. You're always supplied, and you have everything you need, and what else? The moment. That's right. So thank you, Jerry. What people don't sometimes know is the difference between faith and belief, right? Because you can believe in anything. You can believe in the negative as well as the positive. So belief is very different than faith. Now, I used to hear people say, well, I just have to have some faith. Okay, you have faith. You are never without faith. Faith is your inheritance. You don't go to the grocery store shopping for faith. Hey, I think I'll pick up a little faith today. Hope it's on sale, right? No. You have faith within you, and faith is always yours, but you may not know. And so faith is activated by things like grace. Moments of grace. Moments of true revealing and understanding activate our faith. So if you think about faith as foresight. Faithless foresight is really sort of affirmative prayer. Okay? So you're affirming that which you already know. That's the moment of grace. That's what activates your faith. That which is always within you, but it opens you up and activates your faith. And so, for example, and so people may not know exactly what affirmative prayer is. If you were to say, well, dear God, what I really, really, really want is this job. So could you please make that happen in all of your wonder and glory? Thank you, thank you. Okay, that is not affirmative prayer. Okay, that's, well, anyway, I'm going to let that go. But affirmative prayer is, I know God in all of the power and wisdom and glory of the universe, that my perfect work is already mine. My perfect work is flowing through my veins, flowing through every fiber of my being. And even though the appearance may suggest otherwise right now, I know that there's no such thing as time. So I am open and receptive to having the physical experience of this job or this work that I know that is already mine. And I bless that, and I accept that, and I embrace that. That's affirmative prayer. Now, you might think that's just wishful thinking, right? We're going to talk a little bit about that today because sometimes the appearance of things and the true nature of things seems to be in opposition because we like to, or we experience a world of seemingly duality, when at the basis there is no duality. I'm going to try to come at this from a lot of different angles today, just to kind of get you to understand that duality is an appearance, but it's not our true nature. And so as we experience our faith on a very, very deep level, and affirm that through our words and our power of prayer, we begin to have a different experience. So can anybody tell me what this thing is on my finger?
A vow.
Huh?
It's a vow.
Okay, this thing right here?
A ring.
Ring, right? And maybe you can't see it, but it's a gold ring. All right, it's a gold ring. So this ring is the physical appearance. It's taken the form or the symbol of a ring. But that's not what this is. Okay, this is the form. At its base, it is gold. That's what that is. It's gold. And it has taken the form of a ring. Now, there seems to be a sort of a duality there, right? You have something that's made of this base metal, and it is into some sort of form. But if you were to melt this down, it would no longer be a ring, would it? What would it be?
Gold.
Gold. So it's never changed, right? And that's who you are. In the physical form, you would appear to be a human being. And I'm not suggesting that you're not. Okay. I like to think that I am most days. But I also know that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. All right? So that's what I try never to lose sight of. I am at my base, at my purest base, a spiritual being. If you take anything, any physical form, and you vibrate it at a very high rate, it goes back to its base, which is what? Does anyone know? Energy. And what is energy? Do you know what form that, well, what it appears as? Right, light. Okay? If you vibrate anything high enough, it goes back to its base, which is light. And which is what you are, which is what everything is. Now, when you get into the physical form, all right, and you come into this plane of existence, the vibration is very dense. It's very low. It's very slow, much slower. And so things take a physical form. Well, that gives you a very different appearance than when you are on another plane of existence or on the other side, where, and we hear about this, that there are this sort of an appearance of things, but that really it's made up of energy and light. And so when you're at a higher vibration, your experience is very different. Think about this. If you are very sad, right, your vibration is quite low. As you get happier, your vibration gets higher, doesn't it? Okay? And that's not to judge between sadness and happiness. Those are just different experiences. But understanding who you are at your very true form is very important. When you, and again, like I always say, I just share this with you. You decide. You don't have to believe me, okay? You take away what works for you. But if you understand who you are at your very deepest form, then that's where you can start to always operate from. I'm saying this loosely because, I'm going to share an experience that I had on Thursday night. And I'm not going to share it in detail because I've already done that in another format. And I've been there, done that, and this goes on YouTube, so we don't need to be, doing that. But I did go to an emergency room, and I had a pretty traumatic experience. Now, I went there with a belief that I would get the care that I needed, and that I would probably also get compassionate care. So, well, I'm not saying names, and because the reason why I'm not saying names is because this goes out on YouTube, right? And it's a chunk in time. So when people see it, it's out there forever. I'll be writing a letter to the administration of this particular hospital, and I have every belief that they will follow up and make good. But if you don't see another YouTube video out there, then that particular hospital doesn't get a chance. So, and I've been there before, and I believe in their care. So, but anyway, so I didn't receive compassionate care. In fact, I felt like I was drowning, and I couldn't breathe. And so this went on for some time, and then I went home, and the nurse advocated that I would get at least 2 pills. But no breathing treatment or anything like that. So that was a very interesting experience to have at midnight or so with my husband. And I didn't lose it, but I got really angry. I got really angry and outraged. And I just got to share this. This is funny because the nurse comes in, and I've got my jacket on, I'm ready to go home. Done. And he's like, well, let me advocate for you. I'm like, okay. So, I mean, the advocacy got me 2 pills. Thank you. But the doctor comes in, and he's outside, and I didn't know it, and I tell Bruce, I'm not very happy. I'm going to write to the administration. And the doctor pops in out of nowhere and says, what? You're not happy? Like, he goes, you're not happy? What do you mean you're not happy? You don't trust me? Not really. And you don't trust me? Well, goes on, and I'm like, look, okay, let's just be done. You and I, we're done. So he goes back out, and I think he's gone. And then I told something to Bruce, and the doctor says from the hallway, I'm still here, I can hear you. And I say, look, I didn't say your name, and this is a private conversation, you need to butt out. And I was just like, wow, Bruce, we need to text. Okay, that's funny now, right? Not so funny at the time. I get home, I still can't breathe. I put out on Facebook my experience. I am livid. I'm upset, I'm livid. All night long, I am in prayer and meditation. I can't, even the albuterol isn't working that I have at home. I use my oils, I do everything I can do. And I just stay in prayer and meditation. And connecting with my faith and knowing that I'm going to be okay. I'm going to make it through, even though it doesn't really feel like it. And the next morning, I'm starting to breathe a little bit more, The air is getting to the brain and to the heart. and the night of prayer meditation reminds me, people do not know what they do. They don't know what they do, and they don't remember who they are, because if they did, they wouldn't do what they do. This is why Jesus says, and you hear me say this a lot, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. If they did, they wouldn't do it, right? Now, so I have a lot of compassion for that triage nurse and that doctor, because I used to work in the hospital, and I know what a tough job that is. And I know you see a lot of trauma and a lot of upset, and you have to keep your wits about you, and there's a point where you almost get immune to it. You don't want to, but you almost get immune because the trauma is so much overload, so much overload. And you know, you have each individual coming in needing compassion, and you're one human being working, 12, 14, 15-hour shifts. So there's that part of me that understands. There's another part of me that says there still has to be accountability. One of my friends on Facebook said, sis, and I love the way she always says things, sis, she says, you know, there has to be a balance between turning the tables in the temple and turning the other cheek. And I said, yeah, you know, there has to be that balance between, you know, when Jesus is angry and turning the tables in the temple and then turning the other cheek. There has to be that balance in our lives. And that brings us back to those points of, it's just not them that are human, right? Me too. Me too. You know, I'd like to say that ministers never make mistakes. We know that's not true. We know that ministers are just as human as everybody else is. And in fact, it's those human moments that teach us probably the most. It's not when we're levitating, it's when we're kneeling that we really learn the things that we need to learn about being human. And when we go into that prayer, that affirmation for ourselves, despite all appearances, I am a child of the Most High. I am the light. Despite all appearances, I am in complete harmony with all of my surroundings. This happened for a reason. Things happen in our lives for a reason. It may not look like it. It may look something very traumatic. But if we can pull away from every experience we have and try to stay to our center as much as possible and ask, what is this teaching me? And what is mine to do here? And while I'm doing it, can I do this with as much unconditional love as possible and still create change in the world? Right? There's some of you may have heard this, there's a great Indian story. And there's this teacher that's walking through this village. Carrie knows this one. Rebecca probably knows it too. There's this teacher walking through this village, and he wants to cut across the field and walk along this one road. And all the villagers go, no, you cannot go along that road. And he says, why? And they said, because there's a very venomous snake there, and the snake will kill you. And the teacher says, it's okay. So he goes along that road, and he starts a conversation with the snake, and starts teaching the snake about love and compassion and learning to meditate. And by the time the teacher's left, the snake is like, a holy snake, okay? The snake is like, okay, meditating, all about love. So the teacher goes on his way, and it's a few years, and he comes back in, and everybody's playing along that road, and there's these kids playing, and he's like, hey, where's the, how you doing? Where's the snake? And the kids go, oh, he's down in his hole. We just beat him up. We taught him a lesson. We beat him up. So the teacher goes over to the hole, and he calls out the snake, and the snake is coming out, and his back's all broken, and he's all messed up, and the teacher's like, what happened? And he says, well, you know, the kids, you know, the villagers, they couldn't accept who I am today, you know, so they just beat me up and broke me up. But that's okay. That's okay because, you know, I'm in my love and I'm meditating. And the teacher goes, wow, have you learned nothing? I told you not to bite. I didn't tell you you couldn't hiss. And that's a really important thing to remember. It doesn't mean just because you're a spiritual being, have a human experience, that you're connected and that you have a full understanding of your faith, that you're walking as men and women of God. It doesn't mean that you lay down and let people kick you. It also doesn't mean that it's okay for you to bite. It's about moderation. It's about balance. It's about, you know, you're going to make mistakes, but coming back to the center when you can, as quickly as you can. Going into prayer, affirming who you really are, affirming who the ER doctor and the triage nurse really is, right? Who the children and the villagers are who beat you up. Affirming that and going forward. Otherwise, what are you left with? What are you left with if you don't follow that path? Right? Regret? Bitterness? Thoughts of revenge? You'll get yours, karma's coming. Yeah? Right? And what does that do for you? What does that do? It eats you up. It eats you up from the inside out. If you hold that venom within you, and you don't release that, you don't find a way to find balance, you'll be waiting for the shoe to drop for your enemy. Well, it's already dropped for you. That's the way that works. There's no point in holding on to anything. There's not. There's nowhere to go with that except farther downhill, farther down into the darkness. Now, if you want to have that experience, that's fine. I mean, it's okay. There's something to learn from that experience. There really is. It's profound. But you have another choice. And the choice is to open yourself up to the possibilities of compassion and forgiveness. You see, what happens is, and you've heard me talk about this before, we look from the inside out. And we think we're looking like the whole world. But we're looking from our perspective, our, experiences, where we're at. And then what we do is we superimpose and project those onto everyone around us. Yeah. So, if I'm having a bad day, everybody's against me. What's amazing is they don't know that. But we know that. We know that people cut us off because that's the way that is today. We know we have to stand in line, much longer because that's how that is today. You see, it becomes a perspective and a personal judgment. It's not like that. Nobody else knows your personal story. Nobody's out to get you. Well, not that I know of, unless you're on the CIA or something like that, right? But nobody's out to get you. It's not like that. It's an amazing thing when you start to realize you are operating from a very limited perspective. And that's all about your emotions and your experiences on any given day. On any given day. And the way to start to diffuse that is to remember who you really are. There's another story I'll tell you, and I hope I say his name right, King Janaka. So this is, who knows when this was. This is like ancient in India. And King Janaka, one day, he has this beautiful court. I mean, just, oh my God. He is the king, right? He's the king's king because he's very aware and very awake until he's not. So one day, while he's at court, the king starts to fall asleep in his chair. And he falls asleep. And when he falls asleep, he dreams that he's a very poor man. And he lives years and years and years as a very, very poor man, struggling. very involved in this story. And then one day, he wakes up. And he's in this court. And he can't remember what's going on because he spent all these years as this very poor man. And they said, "Oh, king, you awoke." Well, he'd only been sleeping a little while. And the king said, "Where am I? And who am I?" He said, "Well, king, you just fell asleep. You had a little nap." You know, he goes, "No, I'm not a king. I'm this poor guy, blah, blah, blah." "No, king, you've been dreaming." And that's what we all are doing. We're dreaming when we think we're something other than the divine. Because this seems very real, doesn't it? And I'm not suggesting that it's not. You are here having a physical experience. But think about this, in terms of your being eternal, what? If you want to, 110 years, right? 90? What is that? You ever think about that in terms of against the eternal? You're dreaming, right? This is just a little bit of a dream. But it's a dream where you can have a profound impact on your soul, a profound impact on letting it inform you and staying in your heart center with compassion and divine love. That's, you know, there's a lot of things to learn here. We all come with our little list. These are the things I'm here to learn. But the one big thing is no matter what's thrown at you, no matter what's thrown at you, can you remember who you are? Can you connect with that divinity within you? That faith of knowing who you really are? Can you affirm it when you need to through prayer? And can you choose love over everything else? Before you left the other side, we all got lined up. Now I'm just making this up, but you can go with me on this. We all got lined up on the other side, and they go down the road. Okay, now we're going to go over this one more time, all right? Before you make entry into the earth plane, what are you there to do? Love. That's right. Love. That's right. Love. That's right. Now what are you there to do? What did he say? Love. That's right. And then you get into the earth plane, and you're like, what do you have? Yeah, you have amnesia. You're like, because it's not about what are you here to do. You're like, who am I? Right? That's the first tenet. It's not what am I here to do. Who am I? What does it all mean?
Where am I at?
Where am I at? What am I supposed to do is like way down the line, right? Because you're just trying to figure that out. All right. So, but by this point, when souls like us find each other, and this is what happens in little communities like this everywhere. You know, sometimes they get big, sometimes they're small like this. You know, the size is not what matters, it's the intent, all right? We have all found each other, and we're here to remind ourselves and each other what we're here to do. Fearbor said on Wednesday night, you know, and it was a great talk, but he said, you know, there's not really anything new to tell you. There's not. You know, we come really together on Sundays and Wednesdays as kind of a shot in the arm to keep us going for the rest of the week. But by this time, I mean, some of you may be new to this, but by this time, there's nothing new under the sun. I don't care how many people channel, I don't care how many messages come across. It doesn't get any better than this. And this is good stuff, all right? It's just that times that we get together like this is a reminder and a support system. And, you know, getting to share stories or tell experiences or do something in a little bit different way. But you already know this. Now, I hope you come back Wednesdays and Sundays, you know, because I love community and I love doing this. But I'm just here to tell you that it's like marketing, right? You have to hear things 3 to 4 times before you decide whether or not you're really going to do something. But it's not like they told you something new every time. It's the same product. It's just that, you know, they may have done a little bit different advertising. And that's the way it is. There's only one message. just one. And that is to choose love for yourself and everyone else. And that is, on the earth plane, some of the hardest stuff you'll ever do. It is. It sounds very simple. And you can get all full and you can feel great. And you go out the door and you get a call from somebody and they upset you, and there you go. Now your direct practice is on again, right? So it's every moment. It's like mindful walking or mindful meditation. You know, I do meditation, but I also do walking or mindful meditation. And that is, as I'm walking, what am I thinking? Am I staying centered? Am I staying balanced? Do I have a smile on my face? Right? Because when we put a smile on our face, a smile is in our heart, truly, truly. And people encounter us that way. So, as we just prepare to kind of go into meditation, take a nice deep breath, I want you to think about what love feels like for you. Because Fairmore said this, and I've said this before too, you can't love anyone else until you learn how to love yourself first. You just can't. All is well. So as they start to sing, just relax and start to allow yourself to go into meditation.
All is well with my soul. 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 Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. All is well with my soul. All is well with my soul.
As you take the next nice deep breath, just allow yourself to listen to my voice. Breathing in and out, just relaxing. Feeling the chair underneath you. Just letting everything go. That's right, just release everything that doesn't serve you. Now I'd like you to imagine a beautiful gate. It can look any way you want. But on the other side of this gate is a very special garden that's waiting for you. So go ahead and take a nice deep breath as you reach out a hand and open the gate very slowly. That's right. There's a pathway that you start to go down, and amongst all these beautiful plants and flowers. Just take a moment to appreciate the beauty and the smell of the flowers. The nice warm sun as it touches your skin. You start to feel more and more peaceful the deeper into the garden you go. That's right. And there's a presence here. It's a presence that you may have felt in dream time. or you may have felt it a few times in your life, where everything was so perfect that you knew all is well. And as you go deeper and deeper into this garden, the pathway curves around and you come to a middle. And there is a beautiful bed, whatever that looks like for you. And you lay down. As you lay down, it's like, goodness. It's like you're releasing your body. And now you're just spirit. All of your aches and pains, all of your worries, everything has fallen away. And you allow the healing and the beauty of spirit to fill you. And you feel weightless and light. And you notice that you're surrounded by beautiful beings. You remember what that love feels like. You remember. You see, you never really forgot. But it starts to fill every cell of your light body. You feel even more transported. And you remember, oh my gosh, that's right. There is only love. We may learn by the appearance of other things, but there's only love. And I love myself so much. I'm so grateful, so grateful. So grateful to have the opportunity to experience. Because not every soul chooses to come to the earth plane. You are so brave to do this. You are the pioneers. You are the frontiersmen and women of God. You are creating a path of love through the forest of delusion. You are here to hold your light high. You are well. And everything is okay with your soul. You don't need to judge. You just need to notice. There's no room for judgment in God's world. God is only love. God will never judge you. God only loves you. If you will love yourself, then you can love others. You feel all the joy and the love around that bed. Just soak that in. Soak it in. This is your special place. Every time that you feel off kilter, every time you feel disconnected or unsure, you come back to this place. Because they're waiting for you. They're waiting to love you and to infuse you with that knowing. You come back through this memory place. When you remember who you are, you can hold the memory for others when they forget. All is well with your soul. Thank those beings and thank yourself. Thank God. This is a very short trip. It's a privilege to be here. Make the most of it. If that's okay, you can go ahead and get up from the bed. Start to travel back along the path. That's right. All the way back put your hand on the gate and gently close it. This is your secret garden. Come here anytime for rejuvenation and remembrance. With the next deep breath, just slowly bring yourself back into the room. That's right. Feel your feet on the floor. And your chair underneath you. And whenever you feel ready, go ahead and gently open your eyes. That's good. We're going to do music in just a moment, but let's bring yourselves all the way back, because that's a profound journey to go on. And we want to just enjoy that in the in-between state here just for a minute, right? We don't need to jump right into the next thing. Let's just enjoy that together. You feel the energy in the room. Feel that? You feel how open your hearts are. This is who you are. This is who I am. I see you. I know you see me. Okay. Now the trick is this, right? This is a precious moment. Take it, put it in your pocket, so that you can take that out during the week and go, no matter who's yelling, who's cutting me off, who's doing what, I know who I am. I remember where I'm from, and I know what I'm about. Okay? So let's take one more nice deep breath. Bring yourself totally back into the room. That's right. Let's rub our hands together. Yeah. Get back into the physical form. Good job.
We can just stand.
You guys can join in too.
Dear God, Mother, Father God, we affirm for ourselves that we are whole, healed, healthy. We are abundant. We are love in all of its beautiful forms. We are in service of service to ourselves and to all those around. We affirm for ourselves and for each other the ability to move forward each day in the knowledge that we are unencumbered by thoughts, perceptions, beliefs. We are only informed by our loving nature, and we make that our vow, and so that is. Thank you so much. Let's have some social time.
Let's have some hugs.
Yeah, some hugs.